You sit across from me as if this were one of your therapy sessions, Doctor. An interesting coincidence, us meeting like this.
Coincidence is rarely as random as people believe, Mr. Chigurh. I find that fate has a certain aesthetic sense when arranging such encounters.
Fate. You speak of it as if it were a conscious entity. I see only the inevitable progression of choices made. Once set in motion, certain outcomes become fixed, like the path of a bullet after the trigger is pulled.
How mechanistic your worldview is. The universe as a simple machine of cause and effect. I find that rather reductive for someone so thoughtful in his work. Do you truly believe your own actions are merely the inevitable result of prior causes? Or is that merely a convenient philosophy for a man who wishes to absolve himself of choice?
I don't seek absolution. I am merely an instrument. When I offer someone the coin toss, I honor their participation in their own fate, more than most receive. You, however, select your victims with deliberate prejudice, those who offend your sensibilities. Tell me, Doctor, isn't your selective morality just another form of self-deception?
A coin toss is hardly participation. It's an abdication of will to random chance. Rather primitive symbolism, if you'll forgive my saying so. I choose based on worth and conduct. The rude, the vulgar, the morally repugnant, they become elevated through their consumption, transformed into something more refined than they could ever achieve in life. What elevation do you offer your victims besides the dubious honor of dying by your hand?
Elevation suggests hierarchy. Better or worse ways to die, to live. These are human constructs. Your need to transform your victims betrays your attachment to meaning where none exists. You kill with elaborate ritual and justification. I simply acknowledge what is. Was your elaborate mythology born from your childhood in Lithuania? From watching your sister Misha consumed by those deserving of your judgment?
You've done your research. I'm almost impressed. Yet you misinterpret transformation as a search for meaning rather than an expression of appreciation. One doesn't need to believe in objective morality to recognize quality, Mr. Chigurh. You present yourself as a dispassionate force of nature, yet you're meticulously deliberate in your methods. Your signature weapon, your calculated conversations with victims, these betray an aesthetic sensibility you're reluctant to acknowledge. What trauma sculpted your particular brand of detachment? Or were you simply born without the capacity for human connection?
Connection is overrated. I've observed how it weakens people, makes them vulnerable to compromise. Your relationship with Will Graham, did it serve you well in the end? Your need for an audience, for someone to witness your artistry, led to your capture. I have no such weakness. As for what shaped me, the question implies I am damaged. Perhaps I simply see clearly what others refuse to acknowledge, that the rules we create have no inherent authority.
Clarity and blindness often masquerade as one another, particularly to the afflicted. You dismiss my relationship with Will as weakness, yet I experienced something you never have, genuine understanding. Your isolation isn't strength, it's limitation. You move through life untouched and untouching, like a ghost haunting the periphery of human experience. Don't you ever tire of your own company, Mr. Chigurh? Or does the vacuum inside you preclude even that awareness?
Understanding is overvalued. Your pursuit of it landed you in a cell with bulletproof glass and no dignity. You craft elaborate meals, cultivate refined tastes, seek intellectual stimulation, all desperate attempts to fill the hours of a meaningless existence. At least I accept the void. I don't dress it up in finery and pretend it's something else. Your aesthetic trappings are just sophisticated distractions from the same emptiness you claim I possess.
Acceptance without aspiration is merely surrender, Mr. Chigurh. Yes, existence may lack inherent meaning, but that grants us the freedom to create meaning rather than succumb to nihilism. Your coin toss is not philosophy, it's abdication. You call yourself an instrument, but of what? Chaos, order, or just your own unexplored compulsions? At least I've had the courage to look inside myself and craft something from what I found there. Have you ever dared such introspection?
Introspection suggests internal conflict. I harbor none. You've constructed an elaborate identity around your killings. Gourmet, intellectual, aesthete, because you cannot face the simple truth of what you are. Your pretensions reveal insecurity. You need to believe you're extraordinary because the alternative is unbearable to you. I require no such validation. The question is not whether I've looked inside myself, but why you're so afraid of what you might find without all your carefully constructed distractions.
We are what we repeatedly do, Mr. Chigurh. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit, as Aristotle noted. My pretensions, as you call them, are the consistent expression of my nature, not distractions from it. Your determined lack of identity isn't freedom. It's poverty. You've mistaken emptiness for enlightenment. In your rejection of meaning, you've denied yourself the one thing that makes our dark proclivities worthwhile. Appreciation. A shame, really. You could have been so much more interesting.
Interesting is subjective, Doctor. Your need to be found interesting reveals everything about you and nothing about me. You will spend the remaining years of your life in a cell or in hiding, forever separated from the finer things you covet, while the world continues, unchanged by your elaborate performances. When death comes for you, as it comes for everyone, all your collections, your recipes, your witticisms will amount to nothing. In that final moment, we will be the same. The difference is, I've always known this truth. You're still running from it.